All right, we are back here at the For the Love podcast. Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat today. I'm so serious. I always mean that, but today I really mean it. I mean it with full sincerity. Also, hi, Amy Harden, everybody. Thank you for continuing to come here. At any moment, you could be like, I just don't. This is just a lot.
I would say that, but I would still show up.
Oh God, that's so true. You have that like Methodist, industrious, like work ethic, Protestant, so Protestant.
Yes,
Yeah.
and loyal.
Oh, and that. But regardless, you are here on the show, and we've released media with your face on it. And I just need the people to know that that is not normal for you.
I went to Barton Springs Pool last night when my phone started dinging.
Sure.
By myself.
Yeah.
And I just floated around and watched the bats during the free hour from 9 to 10.
Oh my gosh. You did that at 9 o'clock at night last night?
That's when I go.
Barton Springs, everybody, if you're not from here, is like this natural springs. It's freezing. It's freezing 365 days a year.
It's a pool fed by
Okay,
springs.
there. That's really what it is.
A giant pool.
Yes, it's like an iconic spot here in Austin, and historically has been the pool of choice for all our city's hippies. Is that historically, and college students?
And now high school students.
Okay, right. Well, my point that I'm getting at is that I took the kids there, of course, when they were little, because you just got to get the hell out of the house, and
Right.
we did everything that Austin had to offer for a decade. And we went to Barton Springs, and I'm going to say Sydney was, let's see, probably 4th or 5th grade. And, you know, you go in, it's just a little, very janky place where you can change clothes if you need to and kind of come right on out. And she needed to go in there for some adjustment. And that is when she saw, for the first time in her life,
An old lady naked body.
that's literally it. A fully naked elderly lady who had no interest in grooming.
Oh.
Okay. Self grooming. She's talking about it to this day, and she's 24 years old. So I'm just
It's still a magical place.
okay.
Like there's boobies and it smells of weed.
Yeah. 100%.
But it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Anyway, I go during the free hour at night.
Yeah.
There's a free hour in the morning, like 5 to 8
Oh,
a.m.
That's not your time slot.
No. Anyway,
okay.
that's how I deal with the hullabaloo of
Of your face on the internet?
marketing.
Marketing. Okay. I kind of lost the plot because I told you today is fun, and it is fun. We have the absolute hilarious Leanne Morgan on today. She's hilarious.
What on earth?
She kills.
Oh,
what
is that
on
the
earth?
name of her book?
That is literally the name of her book, which we're going to
That was unintentional.
Yeah. That was a real deep cut you just did, like accidentally, and I'm impressed, to tell you the honest. Anyway, she is so much fun, and you are going to absolutely love this interview because she's just delightful. But before we get to that, let's do a little segment we like to call Bless and Release.
Bless and release. You know you got to bless and release.
Just let it go, girl.
There are just some things that we're like, at this juncture, at my middle age, I am not interested in this anymore. This can just, I bless it and I release it into the world. And so actually, I am curious to hear what you say about this one. So our bless and release idea today is the whole concept and experience of FOMO, like fear of missing out. I want you to start with this because I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'm gonna jump into.
Listen, the greatest day was when someone invented the joy of missing out.
Yeah. It's like you felt seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have FOMO. Like that, I understand that feeling, and sometimes I'll get it. Rarely. Like if Brad is with our people and I'm not there.
Oh, yeah.
But typically, for all of my life, I have that feeling for my home when I do go somewhere.
You miss your own home when you're
Yes.
gone and you just wish you were back in it.
Yeah, like that, like, oh, like, I'm so sad I'm missing out on that. I feel that when I'm in a crowded room, like chit-chatting, like wondering if I could go hide in the bathroom yet again, and thinking, like, if only I could be home.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, second only to that, like the walking in the door moment, which is like cold water on a hot day, is canceled plans. It's thrilling. Like it is, I am thrilled. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to do it today. And I'm like, oh, bloop. I don't even care what it is. Like it'd be something I wanted to do. But like, no, I don't have to. And I could just be not doing it. Mine is also located in this way I have in the world that I did not actually knew that I did this, but Jenny told me years ago, and I didn't even realize this was my deal. But I guess wherever I am that's the place I want to be. Does this make sense? Like when I'm in a thing, I'm glad to be at that thing. When I'm out of town, I'm like glad to be doing the work that I'm doing or whatever it is. And I'm always like, just, that's the place I want to be. And so I just don't have the gear where I'm like wishing I was somewhere else.
Yes, I understand that. And for a lot of things, I'm like that too. Like I can be present in the moment if I can find a person to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the past, if it's been anything Jen Hatmaker related, like, I've been to some book releases and stuff like that. But if I can find Jana King, I'm fine.
I know what you're saying. And I feel like we have two tracks here. One of them is the FOMO thing, but the other's introversion, because I can literally be the person in the room that's like the reason the room is there. And if I don't have a person, I am freaking out. Like I cannot tell you how many times I have texted like my event planner or whoever's in charge of me at the thing. And I'm like, is there any way that you could just come meet me outside room 412 and like walk me all the way there? I cannot bear I'm so anxious to be by myself. And that's being introverted. Susan Cain taught me that.
Well, yes. You told me about it and I said, oh, that would be so good for my introverted child. And you said, and also look in the mirror.
Oh, well, I mean,
I loved it.
Same.
It explained a lot.
Oh my gosh. I point to, by the way, we're just talking in shorthand. We're talking about Susan Cain's book. It's easily a decade old, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
Quiet.
And the sub is like the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. And I don't even remember why I read that, because I always said, we're in the weeds. I see that we've left FOMO, but it's okay. It's ancillary. I always said I was extroverted because I'm socially competent. And I thought that's what that meant.
Right.
Like social competence is extroversion.
I also thought that dichotomy existed, like socially competent meant you're an extrovert. And I knew I was an introvert. So I was like, well, I'm never speaking in front of anybody ever. And then I realized that's not the litmus test.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, I still felt like I wasn't ever going to speak in front of anybody, but here we are.
I mean, here you are, ma'am. And I know we're just sitting here talking to each other casually into microphones. But people listen to this show.
That's what I've heard.
They listen, a bunch of them.
Anyway, neither one of us have FOMO.
Okay, that's just really the short of it, is that neither one of us really have FOMO. And I'm kind of glad. It feels like a hard thing to have to feel. Before we pull Leanne in, let's do one more segment today that I love. And it's Rant or Rave.
It's time for Rant or Rave, where we rant or we rave.
Dealer's choice. Maybe it's a rant, maybe it's a rave. Two different people could have two different answers. And so I want you to start, even though this is not your genre. It's my genre.
Wait, you don't know me.
Okay.
It might be.
Okay, you're right. You're right. You know what? You do rabbit holes hard, and this is maybe the biggest rabbit hole in the universe right now.
Okay.
Okay. Taylor Swift, specifically, at NFL games with Travis.
What is wrong with people? They are so
Tell me what you mean
upset about this. It's ridiculous. Listen.
Yes.
I have looked into the data.
Okay. I believe that you have. I don't really know what that means, but what kind of data are you referring to?
The number of seconds that she appears on screen during NFL games. And like the average is 49 seconds.
In the whole 4-hour game?
Yes. Like maybe it's 7 different times, but you know, we have the attention span of crickets. And so it's for 1 second, maybe 2. And I know that in our lifetime of just seeing football on the screen, the number of seconds we have seen like giant painted bellies.
Okay, for example, yes, is 1,000,000 seconds.
Million seconds.
Yes.
Like that's not the football game, but no one's crying about it. Like there's the kiss cams and there's the cheerleaders and yes, you could argue that that is all closely related to the game. But if she's in a Chiefs jersey and cheering for one of the teams, then that's just another fan cam, basically.
I literally cannot agree more.
Do
we have to be mad about everything? Is that how life is?
Yes.
Is this what we have to be mad about, world? Taylor dating Travis Kelce and going to Kansas City Chiefs game. This is your problem? This is what's hard about your life? Go to counseling. Get a therapist. Like, no, I reject it. I reject the fury.
Yes.
You know, my family. We are massive Chiefs fans.
And by proximity, so am I.
That's right. Correct.
Before all of this.
Yeah. I mean, there's no opt out, really, if you're in our zip code. And even like my brother, who, I mean, he could name a Taylor Swift song if you wrote him a check for $1 million to do so. That's not his person. He's not the demo for her. Even he is like, who cares? He's like, you know what she's done? Increased ticket sales, increased merch sales, brought in this younger female fan base into the NFL. I mean, like, it's a rising tide that lifts every boat in that dumb harbor. So everybody just shut up.
Yes.
I just want to ask very quickly what your Taylor Swift knowledge base is. Because when I said rabbit hole, I meant Taylor Swift. Like, this is
right.
This is it's an ecosystem. It is a universe.
It's extensive.
Oh, yeah, I knew it.
It started because 1989 is like one of our road trip albums, specifically with Kid Number 2. I always listen to it with him.
That was a good album.
It was so good, fun, perfect for a road trip. And then I sort of fell off the map a little bit, but like came back around. I think that's a Taylor lyric. Came back around for eras and then went.
Oh, you fell hard.
A whole hog.
Yeah.
Yes. My friend had a watch party when the movie released. And I am not kidding. You're not going to believe this.
Did you dress up?
I went to Target and I bought like sequined pants.
No.
And then
you did not.
One of my neighbors is a retired opera singer and has a closet that you would not believe. And I borrowed a velvet cape.
You will send me a picture of that before this hour is up.
Well,
and I will look at it with my eyes and decide if you're lying.
I don't think I allowed anyone to take a picture. And also then I got to her house and I just like curled up in a chair. Something like I pranced around with everybody.
Those sequin pants were wasted on you then. That is for prancing.
Well, I keep clothes for 27 years, and so
true.
I will
God,
wear
you're
them
just
again.
like my dad. Please find a picture of you in those sequin pants. I'm not kidding. Somebody has it. Somebody at that party took pictures, because that's what normal people do when everyone's dressed up. So to remember it and document it, please, I am begging you. I'm begging you.
I'll ask.
Okay.
Not everybody was dressed up, by the way. I just did this on my own. See? I told you wouldn't believe it.
This is not your way.
But sometimes it is.
I like to see that. And if I can find it, if you can find a picture for me, do I have your permission to put it on my social media when this episode comes out? As evidence. As just evidence.
No, but I would like to commend you for asking permission for something for the first time, maybe.
Very true.
So
I wrote a whole essay about Amy one time in some book. Which book was it? Do you remember?
No.
I don't either. Didn't even tell her. Didn't even tell her. It was published. It was on Target.
I think the text was like, you're in chapter such and such. Sorry.
I mean, I was sorry. Okay, you guys, let's get to it, because our guest today is, surely you guys are following Leanne Morgan. If you are not, get excited. Go straight to Instagram, fix it, follow her, thank us later. She is a talented, hilarious stand-up comic. And she's having a moment too. She's of course, like all comedians, she's worked really hard for a really long time. There's no such thing as an overnight success in that industry. Holy Lord. I mean, you have to just claw it out in small clubs and working out your material and just to a bunch of drunks and people who are talking over you. That is not an easy, you have to love comedy to go into stand up. Love it. And you have to be good at it to get where she's at, because she's got a hilarious Netflix special out, so bravo.
Dream come true.
She's sitcom gold.
With a sitcom with Chuck Lorre.
That's right.
Big.
I
know.
Big. And she's got it. She's got the accent, the persona, the quippy, her natural ability to know humor and timing and funny in a economy of words, which you have to use. It's a wonder somebody hadn't come found her yet.
Her facial expressions alone, that's 17 sentences. She's so good.
True. It's so true. So she also has a book coming out. Amy accidentally mentioned it earlier. It's literally called What in the World? And it's very memoir-y. She talks about being grown up as a butcher's daughter in very rural Tennessee, and then just really working her way up into the standard world to be where she is right now, which is soup successful. She kind of broke a ceiling and defied a lot of odds. It's a hard business for women, particularly. It's male centric. The comedy world, particularly stand-up comedy. And so when a woman makes it at that level, we love to see it.
Yes.
We love to see it. So we're going to ask her about all of it. Her comeuppance, what she learned, what she loves, all of it. And so you are going to love this conversation that Amy and I are having with the wonderful Leanne Morgan. Hey.
Honey, thank y'all for asking me to be on here.
Come on. Get serious. Get serious right now.
Y'all.
We're so happy you're here. We were just
thank you.
ranting
It's
about
not
you.
me.
It's not y'all. It's her. I'm new here. I don't know if you know this.
She's fun. We love you. We were just yammering about you. I hope your ears were just burning in a good way.
Oh, you angel. Thank you, my darling. Well, I
Thanks for
feel
coming on
very
the show.
hip to be invited on this nifty podcast.
Listen, we're amateurs, okay? We have a fancy setup, but listen, we have 3 people trying to help us know what to do. So don't be impressed.
Well, usually I get asked to be on podcasts of some little man in a basement that doesn't have any listeners. So thank y'all.
Okay, well, we're just delighted to have you on the show. And we know your material so well. And so there's a million things I want to ask you, but let's talk. I want to ask you this first. One thing that I love so much about your career, and I was just talking to Amy about this, that I love that a lot of your just comeuppance is at this stage of your life. I love it. It's encouraging, it's exciting, it's inspiring for other women to go, at any point, we can decide, like, this is the direction I want to row. I'm going to try something new. I love it. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about your trajectory and at what point you were like, I'm going for that. Like, I'm putting my chips on me. And in a man's world, because stand-up comedy is. So I basically just asked you 10 things. You just pick. You just pick what you want there and tell us a little bit about how you got to this moment.
Okay, my darling. All right, I was a ham as a child. I thought I'm funny. I'm going to Hollywood. I thought it. Yeah. I feel like God revealed it to me. I'm not kidding. When I was 10, yeah. I say 10. Sometime as a little child, and I would tell my mama, I'm going to Hollywood. She goes, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Lucille would say, you've got blonde hair on your body. You can photograph like Marilyn Monroe. Yes, you will. So I'm in a, town of 500 people, country, little bitty kid. We grow dark fire tobacco where I'm from. My people are farmers on both sides. I'm the person in high school that they say, Leanne, do the announcements, and I gave it everything I had. I was that kid. And then,
can't you imagine it?
And I had a little speech and drama in high school and had a ball. And then I went to the University of Tennessee and smoked cigarettes and made horrible decisions. Sure. Yeah, and dated people you wouldn't wipe your feet on and did horrible things. And then met Chuck Morgan, my husband. He moved me to Bean Station, Tennessee, on the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And knowing that I wanted to have my babies, I wanted to be married and have babies. But I thought, I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to be a stand-up. This is a God thing, y'all. There was no comedy club 100 miles around, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had my first baby, Charlie, and I wanted to breastfeed and stay home with him. And my friend, Leanne Allison, called me and said, I'm selling jewelry like women sell Tupperware. And I don't even care about jewelry. And she said, you can make this, doing a party, and Chuck can take care of the baby at night, and it'll be fun. You can meet people in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And it was the most perfect thing that ever happened, because I had my own little comedy club every night in somebody's living room, and I'd slap that jewelry around, and I'd fling out all that jewelry, and then we'd eat dip and eat brownies, and I'd talk about my hemorrhoids and breastfeeding and all instead of jewelry. Women thought I was funny, booked me about a year in advance. Yeah. I got to be at one of the big regional things, and speak. And Dennis Swanberg, a Christian comedian, because it was a Christian jewelry company out of Dallas, Texas, was the entertainment. And he came up to me and said, you could be a stand-up comedian. You could do it. Yeah. And that gave me the confidence. So then Chuck Morgan sold that business. We moved to San Antonio, Texas. And that was, I consider myself a stand-up comedian even during the jewelry parties. So that would be 31 years. But not getting on a comedy club, open mic, probably 25 years ago. But anyway, and then it began, and I raised 3 little children, and I've done comedy for 25 years, and it was ups and downs, couldn't get arrested, nobody cared. Then I'd be up, they'd go, ABC wants to do a television show with you. You'd be up and down, but I still had hope, and I'd hustle, I did that grind you're talking about, did horrible gigs, anything anybody would let me do, I'd get up and do it. And then at 50, I think it was about 51, I was eating out dinner with Chuck Morgan, and I started crying. I said, it's not going anywhere. I can't do this. It's not going to happen. And I realized that now, and I knew I was going to have a grandbaby. And I'm country, so we take care of our own grandbabies. And I said, I'll just be a grandmama, and I'll start cooking pinto beans more and because I've
Sure.
always cooked them. And I said, I'm going to open up a hardware store. Maybe I'll do that, and I'll have a cheese wheel.
Not the hardware store.
Well, I was thinking a
that-
gathering place where we could all can. But anyway, Chuck said, you've lost your mind. And I had made a little money doing this dry bar special. That was this clean comedy platform that at the time the manager had said, nobody will ever see it, but they're going to pay you a couple of $1,000 and we'll get some clips from it. Maybe you can get more Chamber of Commerce luncheons out of it.
Sure.
And I made a little money off of that. And I had always bought my little children uniforms or got their hair cut when I made a little money with a gig. Like if I had a Christmas gig, I thought, oh, I can get my children Santa Claus and I don't have to do something vulgar to Chuck Morgan for it. So, but never saved a dime. Chuck had to pay my taxes. I mean, I wasn't really doing good business, y'all. I'll just tell you. And then I said, Nate Bargatze, who I know has been on your podcast,
Yep.
who's a good friend of mine, but at the time I didn't know him, and I was watching what he was doing. He was blowing up. Jim Gaffigan, I've always been a fan.
Yep.
And I thought, they've got social media people. So I hired these two little boys. I call them little boys. They're grown men, but they're the age of my children. And I hired them, and I thought I'm going to give them 3 months and let the chips fall where they may. And the first video they put out went viral.
Amazing.
And I started selling out all over the United States. I mean, it felt like
goosebumps.
overnight.
I just have goosebumps. And at 51, I could just eat it with a spoon. Could you?
I know.
How did that feel?
Do what?
How did that feel?
Oh,
were you?
I mean-
what were you? Freaking out or
Yes.
laughing your head
I
off?
probably should have had a therapist. I probably should have been journaling. But I say this in my book, and I mean this, y'all. When it was happening, that first video, I was moving my baby into an apartment in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
And I said to my family, we were all, tents, and everybody had suitcases. We were all freaked out. And I go, I think something's happening. I mean, it's being shared thousands of times, this video. And Chuck was like, the Uber's here. Everybody get a suitcase and go down. And I felt a physical, electric, I don't even know what you call it, through my body. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is happening. And I always felt like it. I always just knew it was going to happen. And I kept thinking through the years, I know, because all my material's always been about what I was going through at the time. Birthing children, breastfeeding, T-ball, middle school, high school. It's always been, I thought, I know there's people out there that are going through the same thing I'm going through, but I just didn't know how to reach them. I couldn't get on Comedy Central. Nobody wanted me on, I wasn't hip. I was in a kitten heel and a capri pant in a comedy club talking about my stomach. And that wasn't going to go on Comedy Central. They were talking about eating mushrooms and everybody was high and, wanting to do it. So it just was not my time. And then I think in social media, it's like the new TV, the new radio, the new newspaper. And I found my audience, those darling people. And I tell you what the video was. It was me taking Chuck Morgan to go see Def Leppard and Journey. And everybody looked old and sick, and everybody had plantar fasciitis. That's the one that everybody related to.
Yes, I actually do relate to that today.
Literally, that's what I want to talk about.
I watched your interview with Halloran Hilton.
Yes.
It was a beautiful interview.
Thank
You can tell.
I love him. I've
close
known him
y'all
for
are.
20 years. He's here in Knoxville, and that little thing would let me on and help me try to sell tickets. It's something pitiful.
Do you know what I loved that he did was when you were talking about that moment when you felt like you felt the universe shift. He just took a second to sit in it, which, we're learning now that in tragedy, sometimes the best thing we can do is just sit quietly and observe it, let it happen. But he did it with this incredible, joyful memory you had. It was really sweet.
I love that.
What have you been doing to like ground yourself and not disassociate when these huge things happen?
It's true.
Well, y'all, I think if this had happened to me at 30 or 40 when I thought it was going to happen when I was younger and thinner, I think I probably would have lost my, I don't know, I probably would have not handled it well. I don't think I would have not started honky-tonking or anything. I think I would have, I think it would have been harder for me. You know, I just wasn't past menopause, and I feel like wiser than I've ever been. And I think it's easy to stay grounded. Because I'm doing wash right now. I'm doing laundry while y'all are in here. I'm thinking I can get at least 2 loads dried and washed. And I have 2 grandbabies, and I have 3 children that, even though they've watched this all happen to me and they grew up with me doing comedy and all that, it even if I feel Beyonce-ish, they go, Mom, you've got a big black hair growing out of your mole right now, out of your chin. There's just something about, I think, just that I have had a normal life. And this didn't, because I think when people get famous or something blows up and they get all this stuff happen to them, they're younger and they haven't had their family yet, or they haven't lived life yet. I've lived a full life with 3 children, a husband of 30-something years, grandbabies, and when I did a movie with Reese Witherspoon, that little thing stood by me, tiny. I could have held her like a baby.
Yes,
and every day she said to me, Leanne, you got to raise your own children. Like you know that she would say to the girl that played our little sister, Meredith Hagner, because Meredith's got 2 babies now. She said, Meredith, you got to get somewhere else and raise these children. Don't be in LA. Go to Atlanta. Go somewhere.
Wow.
She said, because this industry, you just can't find your community like you could, like Reese has found in Nashville. And she just said, Leanne, it's just unheard of for somebody to have a career like this and get to raise their own children. But it's because I'm 58 years old. And I think that keeps me grounded. I've already been through everything. I've just lived this life so long, and this is so new to me. But I don't know. I feel present in it. I really do try to be present and enjoy, because what a gift after all these years. You know, it's just like icing on the cake. Really.
Gosh, that's...
You know, I try to be present in it. I do get nervous. I do get worried. I get stressed and think, I've never been in a movie before. How am I going to do that? But I really try to go, you know what? What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
That's right.
I've got my babies.
It's like I'm thinking about everybody listening to you talk about this, how encouraging this is, that because a lot of us, we're about the same age. I'm 50. What are you? 53? 53. We're right there. Like, we're launching the babes. My last kid just finished high school. And I'm just thinking about what it feels like to have somebody listen to you talk about this right now in their little AirPods and just go, well, hell, I might have a whole second act. Like, and not be behind. You're not too late. It's not, your best years are not in your rearview mirror. Because what you were saying is right. This is the best we've ever been. The smartest, the wisest, the I don't care about nonsense. Like, this is actually a great time to peak. Look at all your dreams coming true. Like, you're just knocking them one after another right now. Can we talk about your book? Is that something that you've always also had in queue that you've wanted to do? Because that's a different muscle. That's flexing a completely different muscle than the one that is real in your bones, just to be on a stage. Mm-hmm. I'd love to know everything.
There's no way I could have done it by myself. But years ago, nothing was going on in my career. I mean, I would have television deals, but I didn't, Hollywood, they'd come and then they'd go and all that. Yeah. But I thought, I've got a book in me. I know, I always felt it. And then I've always thought my story was unusual, selling jewelry in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains and becoming a comedian.
That's right.
And I've just always been proud of where I'm from, being a farm kid. And I remember trying to write a page or two. And Chuck Morgan, who is very academic and a detailed person and totally opposite from me, I'm a wreck. He goes, Leanne, and circled in red, like was trying to do my grammar. And I said, Chuck, I don't think they care about that. I think it's my point of view. But anyway, that kind of shut me down there for a while because I thought, because I really, y'all, came from a precious high school that was sweet, but it was Future Farmers of America. They were not preparing us for English in the University of Tennessee. They were preparing us to get out and farm. And,
That's right.
and a lot of people did, and that's wonderful. So I thought, I kind of shut it down and thought, well, I can't do that. Well, I'm not smart enough. Well, I can't do. And then now that I'm at this point, they got me somebody to help me. And boy, did we have a chemistry. And boy, did she get me. And she's my age. And it was daunting, though, even with her. It took me 2 years. I mean, it was. And I was touring and I was out of my mind, busy and on planes and all that. And I would go back through, she'd give me an outline and then I would punch up or I would, put it in my voice or whatever. It's daunting. It was hard. I'll just tell you. It was hard. It was also hard for me to every time I would read back through and we'd go back over and over and over and do this pass and let's do, all that. I would think it would, even though it's a lighthearted book, just to introduce me to the world and funny essays, it was hard for me to have to remember, like mentally, it would just drain me because I would have to remember dates and all that kind of stuff, but also remember painful things. Even though I wasn't talking about them, I would, think about my granddaddy dying, or I would think about, something traumatic that happened to me as a child. And I would just have to take to the bed. After we'd have a session or whatever, I'd just have to go to bed. It was, and I kind of at times would dread it because it was just me being emotional, and it meant so much to me to get it right. And then she also said to me, you'll never feel like it's finished. Don't worry about that. You'll never feel like it's finished. You'll always want to go back and redo or go back and tell this way or better way or whatever. So it was very hard for me to give it up and then let it go and let it breathe and do whatever it's going to do. But my literary agent, who is so funny, said, Leanne, you're not Joan Crawford yet. He goes, let's do a cookbook maybe. Let's do a fun cookbook about Jell-O salad, and then your third one you can tell people the horrible stuff. I go, okay. But I always felt like it felt right to me to do it. And I'm proud of it.
Good for you.
Thank you, my darling.
What are you hoping that your readers walk away with? What's your, when they close that last page, what's your hope for them having experienced your book?
I hope there's a few things. I hope that they realize we were all stupid in the 80s.
That's right.
And it's okay. And we've been washed in the blood. And we don't have to worry about it. And that hopefully nothing damaging happened from smoking those cigarettes.
That's right.
And I just hope that they can, because I had to forgive myself, and I want to cry for my 17-year-old self.
Yeah.
And I hope that they feel all that I felt, and that have grace, and just give yourself grace and forgiveness and all that, because we were children, and you just.
That's right.
And then I think through my life, I do think I was a good mama. I made some mistakes, but I used humor in it. I feel like my kids, they love me. They want to be with me and Chuck. I feel like that's a win-win, that, they're grown and they, I was just with my grandbabies last night, and I truly enjoy my children, and I think they enjoy me, and that's a blessing from heaven, but I made it fun. I probably should have made them do more in school. I made them go.
You know what? Not everyone's going to Harvard.
Right. And I've always said this. I think I had it in a bit one time. If Chuck Morgan hadn't been traveling selling mobile homes, he would have been at home doing with them, and they would go to Harvard, but they'd have a nervous tick. Because Chuck Morgan is very academic driven, and I was like, let's dance to Gwen Stefani in the kitchen. Holla back, girl. Right.
That's right.
Yeah, before we eat, and then y'all can do some homework. But
Sure.
But I hope they take away use humor to get you through hard times. I think it's the best thing
That's
that
good.
could ever happen to anybody is to be able to laugh through the bad times.
Yeah.
And to forgive themselves, and to know we all have done crazy mess, and
That's right.
I want them to know it is never too late.
But what my niece says to me, not to overlook the hard work, not to minimize disappointment. But I'm really starting to believe if it's for you, you won't miss it.
I agree.
It'll
find you.
It'll find you. Like, not in your timing usually. And even if it's something you've wanted for so long, it'll still be a surprise sometimes. But like, this was just always for you.
I think that too.
And you knew it when you were 10.
I just think I've got to be me. I've got to be me. I got to do what I got to do. If y'all can love me, or if you don't, it's okay. It's something in my mind that I have now, a mindset that I didn't have in my 40s and now.
And what a gift.
And I think,
and
I think women relate to me because they feel that same thing too.
100%. There's, especially in your particular industry, what a wonderful time to be like, I'm going to do my thing in my way without being completely rattled by everybody else's opinion. Because people have opinions when you're on the stage. They have opinions when you're in a spotlight. They have opinions when you write a book. They have opinions when you're on a show. And when those opinions are directed at a 31-year-old, it could just put you to bed. It could put you 10 feet under. Like, it's too hard to know how to navigate that when you're still developing your own self. But you're already there.
Yeah.
So
and when some
what
woman,
a great time.
Yeah, when some woman named Denise says, "Girl, that dress looks terrible on you," I'm like, "You're right, Denise, honey. I had a misstep." I don't get mad. I have people go, "You need a stylist." I go, "Believe it or not, I've got a stylist." But I go, "She does beautiful things with me, but it costs a lot of money. I pick out my own stuff for stage, and yeah, I've made some ding-dong mistakes."
But thanks for your input,
But thank you, Denise.
Sure.
And I'm not controversial about politics or anything like that.
Yeah.
I tell you what people got mad over during COVID when I would be on the back porch. I said something about making my famous cornbread recipe to my family. Nobody else thinks it's famous, but I put sugar in it. And I'm telling you, women got to fighting each other on Facebook about whether sugar can go in cornbread. And I thought, I've done something terrible starting this mess. But that's about as hard as it gets with me.
Listen, the internet can find any reason to be mad. Any reason.
That
it could be
pitiful?
about sugar and cornbread. And people will go fisticuffs on that. You just have to kind of walk away from the fire you started and be like, well, I wish y'all well.
But
I wish
also-
everybody well in the comment feeds.
Yes.
And I hope you can recover.
Also, yes, sugar should go in cornbread. Like, we shouldn't be fighting over that at all.
I have always put sugar in my cornbread.
I love a sugar in a cornbread when it's a side dish. Now, if I'm going to do a chicken and dressing with a cornbread, I think it needs to be more of the cornbread that doesn't have the sugar in it. So I think we can all get along.
I agree. There's just a lot of slivers to the cornbread pie chart that we can just operate out of. I appreciate your nuance, your capacity for nuance. Good job.
Thank you.
I want you to talk to us just for a little bit about your community, because you were just mentioning them, that women love you and they relate to you, and they do, because you're talking about our real lives and our real families and our real bodies. And so I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about this community that you found and they found you. And it's right as rain. Like, it's such a good match. It's like a match made in heaven. And so how'd y'all get to each other?
Okay, so during COVID, I was taking care of my little elderly mom and daddy. My mom had had a stroke. It was a bad stroke. She couldn't eat regular food. She had to have pureed food. She was in a wheelchair. I was going back and forth and spending the night with them several nights in a row during the week, and then I'd come home, and I just would have no makeup on, and I would get on my back porch or at my mom and daddy's and under my mama's Dillard's bedding that she's had for 20 years. It was really hot. And their thermostat would be on 85, and I would just, and when I had eaten my feelings, I would get on and just, and I'd never been that kind where I just get and talk on it. But anyway, I started doing it. Everybody, I guess, was doing it, and I would talk about when I cooked, and I'd talk about that Jell-O salad, because Mama could eat a little gelatin salad, and I was raised eating that. And and then, the cornbread, and then the casserole. She could eat a chicken casserole, and then I would talk about taking care of her. And I think so many people are taking care of elderly parents. They're taking care of children, launching children, having grandchildren, and they've got their parents. So we're the generation of, kind of squeezed in the middle, taking care of everybody. I think people related to that. Then I think people were freaked out and torn up. And so then they would give me recipes for my mama. And they started sending me recipes. And, well, try this. And could she have this if it were a thicker soup? Then people started sending me prayer shawls for her. And and I was having my first grandbaby. People started sending me stuff for him. And it just became like best friends talking on a porch. I'm not kidding. And I didn't even mean it to be that way. And every time I would get off the thing, before I said it goodbye, I would say, everything's going to be all right. And so I think that with the comedy, because I would, they were putting up videos that people could relate to about my 16-year-old when she was, mean as a snake and didn't want to hear me chew, and, was about to go off to college and was hateful and we were scared of her. All those things together, people were like, oh, my daughter was like that. Oh, my husband does that. Oh, I have to have the thermostat on 62. All that kind of stuff she's taking care of her elderly parents. She's got grandbabies. She's got... all that together was just sweet and just magic. And they felt like they knew me. And they would say, I feel like we'd be best friends. Leanne, we'd be best friends. I wish I lived next door to you. You are just like my mama. You make me think of my grandmama. You make me think of Aunt so-and-so. And it just became this community that I think, honest to goodness, without sounding sappy, it's bigger than comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
And when you talked about your demographic, you're in your own lane. I do think that's true. I think the fallacy is trying to pin your demographic down by age or gender. Like, I think your demographic that came out of that community is just people who are willing to say, today was so hard. Like, this season is so hard. Like, this thing was terrible and knocked me off my feet. But this funny thing happened in the middle. And also it's going to be all right. Yeah. Like, I think your audience, the people who relate to you, are the ones who are willing to be vulnerable and say those same things. Or maybe never have, but hear you say it and realize, oh, I can actually say these inside thoughts out loud, because it's the human condition. Like, that's what you've tapped into.
Totally. Before we let you go, I'd love to hear what you feel so excited about, because you have so many neat things. The book's coming out. You've got a sitcom coming up. I mean, it is just raining happiness right now for you. And so what do you really either looking forward to the most, it's already on the docket, or you got a little pin on the board where you're like, I'd love to try that, or I'd love to do that, or be at that place, or whatever it is?
I really enjoyed the movie. It'll be out January the 30th on Amazon Prime next year, called You're Cordially Invited. And I got to tell y'all, I had a ball. I was scared to death, and I didn't know, what to do or how things worked. But once I figured, and I didn't figure it out, but once I got familiar with it, I thought, oh my gosh, I wish I could do this again. I hope I get to do more movies.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Will Ferrell. I mean, I've always been a Saturday Night Live fan. I wish I could work with everybody that's ever been on Saturday Night Live. Kristen Wiig. I mean, all of them. Amy Poehler, Fred Armisen, all of them. I mean, I love that kind of. Same. That's my kind of.
Those are my heroes.
Yeah, that's my kind of sense of humor. I feel like, and I feel like I could have done improv, but I was, I just didn't know how to get into it or anything. Yeah. And I wish I could do more movies like that, because we had a ball and laughed until we were weak every day, all day long. And then I always have felt like, because I was raised near Nashville, near the Grand Ole Opry, and I played the Grand Ole Opry now several times, and it's wonderful. I think I have a place, I hope, in country music. And when I say that, I cannot sing, but I think I want to host the CMAs, and I want to have, I know I can't take the place of Minnie Pearl, but one day when I'm old and I've got on an orthotic, which I'm near that, I love an orthotic shoe. But if I am in my 80s, say, and I can put on a glitter top and host the Grand Ole Opry's, like once or twice a week, just once or twice a week. But I feel like that has always felt like something that I have got a kinship to, is the country music world. And then we'll see how this sitcom goes, y'all. That's one of those things I'm torn up over. I'm excited. It's all I've ever wanted. And they've already, it's 2 seasons they've ordered. And I'll start filming in October.
And can you tell us about it? Or is it like you don't get to talk about it yet?
Yeah, I can tell you. It's with Chuck Lorre and Susan McMartin. And I play, it's based on my comedy, but not my real life. But I play a woman who is in her 50s, and she's got 2 kids and a grandbaby, and her husband has an affair and leaves her. But I think down the road, we don't know, but wants her back, and is always around taking out the garbage and cleaning out the gutters. But here she finds herself. Here's a 50-something-year-old woman going, what am I going to do now? Like, she's raised children, and now what does life look for me now? And they got that premise from my act. I talk about a good friend of mine that went through a divorce in her 50s. And even though Chuck Morgan and I are together, there's times when I have plotted his death. Certainly. I'll be honest, but I'm with Chuck Morgan. But it's not, let me tell you all that when they made the announcement in Variety, Bobby Dean, who is my daddy's best friend, who is in his 90s, called Daddy and said, I'm so sorry that Chuck and Leanne are getting a divorce. And I said, Daddy, he went, what? And got torn up. My daddy's 84, and I go, Daddy, all right, tell Bobby Dean that remember the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, my
They
word.
weren't really the Beverly Hillbillies. So it's kind of like that. But I'm excited because I do think that would be encouraging for women. To like, you think your life's over, you're not attractive anymore, what in the world's going to happen to me now? And let's see her bloom, let's see.
Love it. That's a story our age group's living. At our age, change is coming. So it for a lot of people, it's their marriage, but it's also their bodies, their kids are launching. That is just a ubiquitous idea. So the fact that you're going to tackle really real things, but in your hilarious trademark way, it's going to be a runaway hit.
Oh, honey,
I'm not surprised they've already
Thank you,
runaway hit.
Well, honey,
100%.
But I think, I've got the best around me, is all it is to it.
Yeah.
And I'll also have my little mom and daddy, elderly parents, and all that. So I think, everybody's going through that. And that is a hard but sweet time, but hard.
That's right. That we're literally in it right now.
Yes.
Okay. We love you.
Does it have to be over?
I know. We're over here my face hurts. I don't think I've stopped smiling this whole I cannot look at myself in the monitor because I'm like, stop grinning like a Cheshire cat. Like, I just can't. Thanks for being on our little show.
Thank you for letting me be on this big show.
Cheering for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's delightful. That was fun. She's fun. I like her. And I felt inspired. By that at 51 is when her ship truly pulled into the harbor. That's awesome.
It is.
I hope that encouraged you, that the second chapter that we're all in is chef's kiss. Like, we're just getting started. Hell, you have a new job. You're 53.
Exactly.
All of this will be at jenhatmaker.com. So you can go over there and we'll have all the stuff for Leanne's upcoming book, for her tour dates, her website, her socials. You'll want to follow her on socials. She's fun. She is a bright light in your Instagram feed. I'll tell you that right now. So anyway, you guys, more to come. We have some really good episodes coming up. Really, 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 really good.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Like, I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, I'm kind of a big deal.
Not me, but
I mean, you kind of are.
the people we're talking to.
They are.
I'm excited.
We have some big deal people.
I'm not excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Like, really great conversations. We can't wait to put them in front of you. In between us talking about really important things like units, clothes, or whatever it is we talk about, whatever our deal is. Other people will at least come on this show and take it seriously, right? So, okay. Also, if you guys haven't already subscribed, just do it. That's a 5-second task. Just follow, and this show will just like pop up for you every single week. You don't have to go find it or miss it or whatever.
I've been coaching my people on how to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I will, not to disparage Brad Harden, but yesterday he told me that he just goes and searches Pandora and he finds it. You're on Pandora.
That's not even where you get a podcast.
That's what I said. I said, don't you have that purple button on your home screen? And he said, it works fine.
Oh, buddy.
Listen to all of them.
On Pandora?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can find us anywhere.
I almost just don't want him to fix that. I just kind of want that to be the case. I still want him to be listening to Pandora like next year. That's
Printing out his MapQuest
I love that guy.
papers. I know.
I love that guy. He is a winner. All right, you guys. So for real, we've got a lot of awesome stuff coming up. So subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And we can't wait to be in your ears with some of these episodes. All right, you guys. See you next week.
Bye.